Today, I'm back in the dining room unboxing the porcelain and the other treasures that have arrived in the shipping container that we sent over from my childhood home in the United States here to Convento di San Giacomo in Italy. And today, I will show you the most special thing of all that's arrived. This black beauty is the reason why I am in the midst of all this lovely mess, unpacking everything. This is my most prized possession. It is a 120-year-old, almost, Steinway grand piano. It brings me such joy to see this piano in here, situated so nicely underneath our fresco of the Last Supper. And I love seeing it next to this Piranesi map of Rome that my father bought when he was living in Rome in the 80s. I've owned this piano since I was 16. It was a gift to me for my 16th birthday, and I have never had a home capable of containing it until now. And I had known for a while that it was just a matter of time before I needed to figure out a way to get it here. And there are a variety of reasons why it needs to be here that I'll tell you about later. As I was thinking about how to ship this piano to Italy from Pennsylvania, where it's been living since I was 16, it became clear that I was going to need to get a shipping container. It seemed a shame to send the piano in an otherwise empty container. My extremely generous father decided to take the opportunity to gift to me and my sister almost all of the collection of antique furniture that he and my mother assembled over the course of their relationship. They had a large house in Pennsylvania full of this beautiful furniture, much of it in the arts and crafts and mission style, which is not an Italian style at all, but I have to say fits quite well in this very spiritual, monastic kind of environment here in the convent. It looks fantastic, and you'll see some more of it as I show you around the space. My father sold my childhood home, and we packed up nearly all of the antique furniture from that home and shipped it over to Italy, which is something that we might not have done, but for the fact that this piano had to come to Italy. So this lovely Steinway is the reason why I wound up sending so much stuff, and why I now have a seemingly endless mountain of boxes filled with beautiful things that I now need to unpack. So I'm gonna go do some more of that now. Look, it's my hot air balloon plates. These aren't particularly special. I think they're from Williams-Sonoma. But they say Mongolfiere on the back of them, which I had never noticed, even though I've adored these plates for a long, long time. But that is the Italian word for hot air balloon, which I probably just never noticed because I didn't know that until I first saw the Hot Air Balloon Festival in Todi last year. But aren't they just so, I don't know, they just are so imaginative. They really feel like very joyous storybook plates. I love these. So today I've uncovered some fireplace tools, which they have a very medieval castle vibe. These will be a great addition here. This goes in a fireplace, but it's a candle stand. This set always brings back memories for me, and there's much more to it. There are more teacups and a teapot and some other pieces too. But I used to always use these plates for dessert at Christmas. I love the iridescence to them. It reminds me of being a kid because I remember when I was a little kid, I just used to think that things that looked like this kind of oil slick iridescence were just the most mesmerizing things. And these plates, they're this lovely yellow, this like pale yellow color with a thin black line. But then the whole thing is covered in this iridescence. And I used to pick these plates to put my slice of cake every year for Christmas for dessert. And then I would go into the living room with my friend Jeff, my oldest friend in the world, who's an amazing piano player, in addition to many other things that he's amazing at. But he would play the piano and I would sing, and I would sit there and put my slice of cake on that beautiful plate on the side of the piano while he would play and I would sing, and the fire was blazing and the Christmas tree was there. It was just, every time I see these plates, that's what I think about. Oh, happy day. It's raining. It's been threatening to rain for days, but while some of the other nearby towns have seen rain, we have not. We've just watched it rain on other towns. But finally, I mean, you can see how localized these rainstorms are. You can see blue sky. Gosh, the raindrops are so big, they look like glitter. It's a glitter storm. I've unpacked all of the boxes that were in here. All of those boxes over there are completely empty now. And I've got the table all full, all of these tea sets. You know, something tells me that my mother and I had a similar obsession with iridescence. Can you see these plates also have that same iridescent sheen to them as the yellow ones down there do? And I know that both of these sets were sets that my parents bought. They used to go, I remember when I was a kid, they would leave for the weekend. They would leave me with my aunt and they would go for the weekend around to all these antique shops in Pennsylvania and stay at B&Bs, and they would always come back with the most incredible things. And I remember them coming back with both of these two sets here, the yellow one and the orange one, both of which have this sheen. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't my father who thought that sheen was so special. But my mother and I never talked about that, but apparently she and I both have that same joy. And these teacup saucers are so beautiful. The shape of them, they're so thin and delicate. The kind of shape of them, the way that the saucer curves down is just, it feels so lovely to touch it. I wish there were a way to really show you how lovely it is and how unlike, actually it's really irregular, isn't this? These must be made by hand. Anyway, they're lovely. These are my two sets, my two tea sets, my two iridescent tea sets. I've got all of those on this table over here. And now it's time for me to move on into this room where there are plenty of more boxes to unpack. But I've just unwrapped this lovely tea set that I know this was a wedding gift to my parents from a friend of theirs. It's beautiful. It's from Japan. And it has this lovely handle. And the cups are just such a great size, the way they fit in your hand. And they have these kind of squared off edges. So they're sort of maybe an octagon. Yeah, absolutely lovely. Sometime maybe when my dad comes to visit, maybe we can get him to tell us about who gave this to him. And the Vermont tin. This tin, it was filled with those little crackers, those oyster crackers that you have with clam chowder. And my parents got this tin on a trip to Vermont when I was a baby, like a baby. And they took me with them. And I remember they always said that they loved traveling with me when I was an infant because they could just swaddle me up and put me in a little basket underneath the table and go to a restaurant because I was an infant and I would just sleep all the time, and they would still go out to restaurants with me and still go to B&Bs. And what medieval kitchen in a convent is complete without a large copper pot? This would be really fun to restore. It's not the prettiest that it's ever been, but wouldn't it just be wonderful? Oh my God. I remember back when this thing was new. We served some incredible feasts in this copper pot. Well, surely we can find a time to breathe some new life back into her. That'll be a fun project sometime soon. I haven't quite uncovered every piece of this yet, but this is the Fiesta ware set that belonged to my great-grandmother on my mother's side. This is not all of it. It's not all that's here, but it's also not all that there once was, because when my great-grandmother died, my mother inherited all of the Fiesta ware, and it came to live in our house. And we used it. It became our primary set. It was our daily china. And so over the decades since then, much of it has become damaged and lost. And when I was packing up for this move to Italy, I decided to take some of what was remaining with me. I decided to take all of the blue pieces because we had quite a large collection of blue Fiesta ware. And we actually didn't use the blue Fiesta ware very much. We used the rainbow colored Fiesta ware more, and the blue wound up kind of getting set aside in a separate cabinet. And so I took all of the blue Fiesta ware and then of the Fiesta ware in other colors, all that I took were the teacups and saucers, and then the egg cups. Just because I just think they're so great. I love using them. And so hopefully I've got a few more pieces hidden away in another one of these boxes. But I'm very, very happy to see this again. I just think it's such a joyous collection of china, and it makes me think of my mother and my grandmother and my great-grandmother. And there's a funny story about how all of this Fiesta ware was collected, because this is vintage Fiesta ware. This is mid 20th century. And the stuff that you buy today is much kind of hardier, sturdier and thick. This Fiesta ware is actually relatively delicate compared to what you find today. It's very kind of like thin and almost dainty, not quite, but for Fiesta ware, yeah. I just have this memory of my mother telling me that my great-grandmother collected Fiesta ware from gas stations. Whenever she would go to buy gas, she would get points towards collecting Fiesta ware, kind of like nowadays supermarkets do that, where you can collect little stickers or whatnot every time you go food shopping, and eventually you build up to winning a prize. And apparently that is how my great-grandmother built up her Fiesta ware collection. Come on, Rudy, let's go check on the sunset. Oh, yes. Another beautiful sunset over the Umbrian Hills. Rudy, I think it's time to go down to the pool. What do you think about that? love the way the light flickers on this wall of ivy. It's so great. The arch with the evening sky through it and the shadow of a cypress tree, flanked by these two statues that are almost lost in the Boston ivy. There's quite a lot of it. And then when you turn the jets on and the lights on in the pool, it just lights up this wall. And the flickering light on the leaves while the leaves are kind of waving in the wind. Layers of a visual manifestation of the evening breeze. It's so peaceful. In my next video, I'll continue on this treasure hunt. Thank you so much for watching. It means the world to me to be able to share all of the memories that these things remind me of. And if you haven't seen my first unboxing video, I'll put a link to that here. Please subscribe to this channel and like this video and click the little bell so you'll be notified when I post my next video. Ciao for now from Convento di San Giacomo.